to welcome you all here this morning. We will begin, as we always do, by centering as I ring the bell 3 times, and then we will have our invocation with practitioner Ann Woodward.
There is one presence, and that presence is God. I call God that universal field of intelligence that brings us all together. God is my source for love, joy, peace, harmony, abundance, friendship, family, everything. And this morning I know that each and every beloved here is part of that wonderful unified field. It's held in love. It's held in respect for Mother Earth. It is everything. And today I celebrate it with everyone present here online and in this room. And I welcome our minister, Natasha, this morning, White Feather for our music, and all those that are volunteers that are working for the absolutely perfect outcome to a lovely day. So take this into your heart. Know that that presence is right here, right now. Hold it in love as I release this, knowing that it is so, and so it is.
So welcome again. Thank you all for being here today. I'd like to welcome everyone online as well, and thank you to Laura Garrett for hosting our online family today. Please leave us messages in the chat and know that you are one with us and part of us today. We are the Center for Spiritual Living, Temecula Valley, a vibrant and loving community where everyone is welcome. We are blessed to have a guest musician today with us, White Feather, as well as a guest speaker today, Reverend Natasha, and I'll introduce them both with their bios in a few minutes. First, I'd like to invite practitioner Ann Woodward back up to give us our spiritual reading this morning.
That was short. Caught me off guard. I have, a few years ago, our book study read Change Me Prayers by Tasha Silver. And I don't know, I just felt this was quite appropriate for today. So, this is what she said. I love the idea of divine source. It reminds us that everything, the fulfillment of every need, always emanates from the one. So if you learn how to keep your vibration high and attuned to that, whatever is needed to sustain you can always occur in surprising and delightful ways. Your source is never a particular person or thing, but God itself. You never have to beg. Furthermore, divine source says that whatever resonates with you will always find you. That which does not will fall away. It's as simple as that. Trust that nothing is missing in your life experience, because you see, what's meant for you will always, always find you. And so it is.
So, White Feather, I have a little bio to read about Whitefeather. Whitefeather is a Native American member of the Powhatan people from the East Coast area of Delaware and is a California State Certified Shamanic Practitioner. In his youth, Whitefeather's family moved to Southern California, where he has continued to live. As a musician, he has performed at and contracted with the House of Blues for years and worked at Irvine Valley College in the Performing Arts Division. Over the years, he has produced 4 very popular CDs. The CDs, channeled from the ancient music of his ancestors, are deeply moving. Whitefeather was a headliner at the World Renaissance Fair 2 years in a row. He has traveled to Sedona, Arizona, and many venues around the country. One of his favorite ministries is doing equine healing work. He performs in private settings as well as performing regularly at the Center for Spiritual Living in Manatee Valley and hosts a monthly drumming circle on the first Wednesday of every month. Over the years of playing, Whitefeather has gathered wonderful examples of handcrafted Native American flutes, and it is his honor to share them with his audiences. Whitefeather is continually inspired by the spirit of his ancestors, moving their ancient vibrations through his flutes. He is now in the process of producing number 5 and number 6 CDs of his haunting spiritual flute music. Please welcome Whitefeather.
Hey!
like to take this opportunity now, whoops, missed that one. Missed that one too. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our guest speaker today, Reverend Natasha Eckholm. Let me read a little bio about her. Reverend Natasha is a licensed religious science minister with Centers for Spiritual Living and serves as a staff minister at the Eckholm Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, down in San Diego. She also serves as an interfaith palliative care chaplain at UC San Diego Health. Prior to entering into ministry, she worked for many years in the arts and culture field as a curator, archivist, administrator, working primarily with Latino and Native American art, photography, and culture, and later as a generalist fine art appraiser. Her call to chaplaincy began about 15 years ago after her father's death from Alzheimer's and experiences that she had with the chaplain who served her. She is grateful for the opportunity to continue to experience a greater life than she ever could have imagined. And a little side note from Reverend Charlene, she said, I attended ministerial school with Reverend Natasha and graduated with her. She has the kindest heart, a depth of compassion and patience, and these beautiful qualities serve her and all of us so well in her ministry and chaplaincy. She is a gift to us today and a gift to the world in her service. I love her and I like her. Enjoy this time with her.
Good morning, CSL team. Good morning. Wonderful to be here with you and to meet you. And I apologize now that I won't remember anybody's name who introduced themselves earlier, but I'll do my best after the service to say hello to as many of you as I can. So one thing to know today, I'm going to apologize now ahead of time to just give myself a little grace. I usually wear a lavalier mic that allows me to kind of walk around and wave my arms. And today, apparently, the divine thinks it would be better for me to hold this mic so I can only wave one arm. So in case I forget for a moment and you can't hear me because I do this, I'll do my best to remember. Okay. So today we're going to talk about discomfort. I know that's everybody's favorite subject. Our theme this year at CSL is Rising Higher and Growing Deeper, which embodies the idea that intricate systems and patterns evolve from many different kinds of interactions. And in a world that is filled with diverse lived experiences and valuing complexity and nuance, we've decided it's our task this year to go higher and deeper in order to really deepen our understanding of ourselves, of each other, of the world. Because in that way, we can more effectively work together to make a world that works for everyone. And this is a holistic approach that really acknowledges this project of wholeness, of integrating all aspects of life. Reverend Darrell Jones, a CSL minister, reminds us, there is so much God to consider. I love this phrase. So much God. Yes, ma'am.
Is that mic on? Because
Are you having a hard time hearing me? Okay. There is so much God to consider. So there's something in life itself, right, that invites us to live, to grow, to want to experience more. Does anybody else feel like that? Yes. Yeah. All of us do, don't we? Sometimes the only thing holding us back is ourselves, right, and our perceptions of obstacles. Sometimes the obstacles are more complicated than just our own beliefs and observations. Sometimes they're more deeply rooted in our families, in our culture, our communities, and in the world. And that demands more to overcome them. But we believe in this teaching that there is a sacred knowing deep within us that always supports us, and that combined with courage, combined with a willingness to explore and to keep listening, this innate knowing can guide us through the most profound challenges. When we work together with Spirit, so much is possible, and often, especially the seemingly impossible, right? So in the face of all the ongoing ebbs and flows and changes in life, how can we flourish and bloom? And this is a moment, I'm sure you hear this from your other speakers, this is a moment when it feels like there's a whole lot of ebb and flow, a whole lot of challenge going on. It's hard to find your footing, isn't it? So this week we're going to explore how being true to who we are and how being willing to engage discomfort can support us in blossoming, in growing into a greater experience of life. So spring, right? Spring is the season of growth, and we are beginning to experience that sense of spring here, right now, aren't we? I want you to take a moment to close your eyes and just envision a tree in blossom. Maybe it's a cherry tree. Maybe its branches are covered with pink blossoms. And I want you to imagine the entire tree. So the blossoms, the branches, the trunk, all the way down to the ground and the roots flowing out underneath it. And I just want you to keep that image in the back of your mind as we talk and share this morning. We're going to be returning to that image. There's an amazing beauty in the image of that tree, isn't there? In the sense of all of the potential that is embodied in the blooms, in the fruit that may come from them, in all of the ways that the tree is part of its environment and supports life all around itself. When we think about something like a beautiful tree in bloom, we think of beauty, we think of expression, we think of vitality. But there's another important dimension of growth, and that is discomfort. For the tree, that might be the discomfort of the heat and the sun, or of cold, or of insects, or drought, right? The tree has to go through a lot to get to that point in every season where it expresses itself, where it expresses its growth, where it expresses its potential in those blooms. And in the same way, we also go through discomfort as we move into expression and growth, as we move into the process of blossoming as human beings. So divine discomfort can be understood as a state of unease or dissatisfaction that arises from yearning something more, something meaningful, something more aligned with a divine purpose. And it often pushes people to seek growth and transformation. Has anybody here ever felt sort of pushed to something or called to something? I'm seeing a few hands come up, right? And a few like, no, not me, no. Right? And this suggests that discomfort is and can be a positive force, right? A catalyst for growth, a push for a more fulfilling life. Do we live in a culture that values discomfort? No, we don't, do we? We live in a culture that wants all discomfort to be terminated as quickly as possible, whether it's with an Advil, whether it's with a distraction of a TV show, right? Whatever it may be, whatever strategy you use, our cultural idea is that discomfort is not a good thing. And we should try to avoid it, or if we have to experience it, get out of it as absolutely quickly as possible. And yet, you know, in the religious context, discomfort can be seen as a call to action, right? Prompting individuals to move closer to a relationship with the divine or higher purpose, embracing a potential pathway to deeper understanding. And one of the ironies is that staying in comfort can sometimes lead to stagnation, right? While discomfort takes us forward into growth. Has anybody ever felt stuck in their life? Yeah. And the irony is that even though sometimes being stuck is a place of comfort, right? You're not risking change. it also doesn't stay comfortable very long either, right? So something pushes you out of that often. So as we talk about spiritual growth, I love the image of expansion, right? And we often talk about growth in a sort of vertical sense, right? We rise into growth, right? But in our teaching, sometimes we talk about growth like a spiral, right? And it's a structure that we find in our universe and in nature. So we see it in the nautilus shell, right? We see it in the sunflower. We see it in a hurricane if we're looking at it from above. Or we see it in a galaxy, right? There are all kinds of structures in the galaxies that are spiral nebulas and all sorts of things like that. And what I love about this idea of the spiral as a metaphor for growth is that I don't have to wait to get somewhere. I don't have to wait to rise up. When I'm in that spiral, my consciousness grows and brings that experience to me right where I am. And that really resonates for me. It will come to me. I don't have to work really hard for it. I just have to know it. Right? Ernest Holmes, founder of Science of Mind, says, "Things happen because of an immutable law, and you do not need to energize its being. Its power is already supreme. By holding a thought, you do not add an inch to reality, but you allow reality to be manifest in what you do." What's important in this statement is you need not energize the essence of being, which is kind of another contradiction to our cultural belief. What this means is it doesn't have to be hard, right? We have a value on hard work, and I'm not discounting the value of dedication and practice, but growth does not require hard work. Growth requires allowing, accepting, allowing the divine, allowing Source, allowing God to work through you, right? To manifest through you, through your thoughts. So how do we discern what is ours to do in order to blossom, and what are the strategies to help us navigate discomfort? There's a wonderful 14th century Persian mystic and poet named Hafiz. He wrote this poem. "Love sometimes gets tired of speaking sweetly and wants to rip to shreds all your erroneous notions of truth. The beloved sometimes wants to do us a great favor, hold us upside down and shake all the nonsense out." And let me tell you, I have definitely needed the nonsense shaken out of me a time or two in my life. So I think we can agree that having the nonsense shaken out probably doesn't feel too comfortable, does it? Right? But, right, the beloved, right? Love, by which Hafez means God, Source, however we name it, Spirit. It knows we need to have those erroneous beliefs and thoughts shaken out, and so that we become uncomfortable and pay attention. So, what's one of the most important things we need to do? Pay attention, right? And it sounds simple, but we live such busy lives, we're so busy going from here to there, that we often don't pay attention, right? Until discomfort gets really, really big. And then we're compelled to stop to do that. But what would happen if we paused and paid attention when we get those sensations of discomfort? And take a moment to explore, right? What is my body trying to tell me? What is my heart trying to tell me? What is my mind trying to tell me? Right? Any change that we experience can bring about discomfort. It takes us out of our comfort zone, out of what we know, out of what we believe. It challenges us to question our own beliefs. And sometimes change involves radical things, moving away from your work, your family, your home, the world that you live in. And when we're faced with uncomfortable situations, what can we do besides pay attention? We can be curious. We can be curious. We can acknowledge fear. We can acknowledge resistance. That's our humanness showing up, isn't it? All of those things. But there's another very powerful part of our humanness, I think, and that's our curiosity. And so if we can pause and engage our curiosity, I think there's more we can discover about what's really important to us. And what else do we need besides curiosity? Well, I would argue that we need to stand in our oneness with the divine, right? Because when we are standing in that place of grounding, when we are standing in that place of openness to spirit, that wisdom can guide us, right? We're not closed by having decided we already know better, we already know what needs to be. We can choose to be paying attention, to be curious, and to be standing in our oneness. There's a great Mary Oliver poem that has a stanza in it that says, "Pay attention, be astonished, and tell about it." And I love that, because the invitation in life, to my mind, is that curiosity. And for me, one of the greatest gifts is that moment where I go, oh wow, I never thought of that before. Has anybody else ever had that? Yeah, right? It's amazing. Ernest Holmes tells us that communion with the Spirit is one of the greatest privileges of life. And by communion, we mean silently entering the divine harmony and beauty until we feel that harmony and beauty ourselves, in our own souls, in our own minds. And so from that place, amazing things can happen, sometimes when we least expect it. So in the intro, I had mentioned that part of the story of how I came into ministry and chaplaincy was through my experience with my father at the end of his life. And he had Alzheimer's for about 10 years. And at the end of his life, somewhat unusually, he was in hospice for 2.5 years, which theoretically isn't supposed to happen, but it did in his case because his decline was really super slow. So he had the experience of receiving hospice services and support from a chaplain for a very long period of time. And one thing that happened with my father in his journey with Alzheimer's is that he returned to a road not taken earlier in his life. He, in my knowledge of him as his child, he was a professor of sociology who worked in a university. But as he entered his Alzheimer's journey, one day he announced he was a lay Franciscan priest with a ministry at the memory care facility where he lived, which was kind of astonishing because this was a person who had not only not professed any faith, but actually counseled us against it. When we were growing up, he said, you don't need a religion. If you need one, you can pick one when you grow up. So it was a little startling, let me say, when he announced that he was Brother Frank. And, but he developed a lovely ministry there at his facility, and he picked a group of residents who he would read the Bible to, and those who were wheelchair bound, he would wheel them around and just sit with them. And it was really very lovely. And the chaplain who would come to visit him would come, and this was my first experience of any chaplain. I had never met a chaplain until this time. She would come in and she'd say, Brother Frank, how's your ministry going today? And she was the first person that I had met working with my father who didn't try to correct him, who didn't orient him to the day, the time where he was, what was going on, but just met him exactly where he was. And that experience just moved me and affected me so profoundly. And I was really fascinated by this. Wow, what could this be? What would it mean to do this? And I was at the time in practitioner training myself. And one of the instructors in my program was a chaplain at a hospice in San Diego, and I went to her and I said, so this chaplaincy thing, like, what do you have to do? And she said, well, first you have to go to ministerial school. And I said, oh, well, forget that. I had been a working professional in the arts field for 30 years. You know, the idea of going back to ministerial school did not seem very possible to me at that time, very likely. So I thought, oh, well, you know, that's nice. And I kind of didn't think too much more about it, except it just kept coming back in my mind. And one day, about 8 years later, my husband said to me one day, you haven't stopped talking about this in 8 years. I think you're just going to have to go to ministerial school. And so I did. And so this was, you know, and I tell you this story because it's about sort of successive degrees of discomfort, right? So I had a moving experience, I'm inspired, and then I learned that a lot of discomfort, it seems to me, is going to be involved in moving forward. So I didn't move forward. But finally, I was in that place where staying where I was as equally uncomfortable. So now I had to move forward. And I will say, it's kind of amusing to me, as I went on this journey, I still didn't really understand what would be required. I understood, okay, go to ministerial school, become a minister. And I thought, very naively, right, well then you're done, and you can be a chaplain, great. And of course, it turned out it wasn't quite so simple. And after ministerial school, oh, there's chaplaincy training, right? And that's another 2 years. And oh, there's board certification. And it's a good thing I didn't know about all of that when I started, because I'm sure I would have said, oh, that's just too much. But, you know, I really believe that I was guided divinely to just sort of take on each piece as I went. And finally, the outcome, I said, as Pick said, I work as a palliative care chaplain at UCSD. And I'm very grateful to work there. It is often something people will say to me, do you enjoy working as a palliative care chaplain? And I'll say, well, enjoy seems like the wrong word to use about spending your day talking with really sick people, some of whom will die soon. But what I will say is that it's very deeply meaningful work. Because you're really at a place where it's the most important things that are now rising to the top, right? And it's a great gift and a blessing to be with people as they sort out what is the most important thing to them. So, all right, we've talked about paying attention, and we've talked about being curious, and we've talked about standing in oneness, right? So let's talk a little bit about embracing discomfort. Mary Ann Williamson says in A Year of Miracles, how often it seems easier to resist the call of greater becoming, remaining within the dark cocoon of a self that has settled for good enough. I choose not to remain at good today, but rather to answer the call to greatness. And that's really beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. And I want to affirm that. And I also want to invite you to think about the idea that greatness is a very elastic word, right? What does greatness mean? Of course, we can think of the obvious things for greatness, right? Great leadership, great accomplishment, great, productivity, right? Whether that's embodied in a particular type of work or a product. You know, discomfort and suffering are universal human experiences, and every religion addresses discomfort and describes a spiritual dimension and purpose to it, right? So in traditional Christian teaching, suffering is thought of as a consequence of the legacy of sin, right? Or a pathway to salvation. In Hinduism, suffering may be caused by maybe self-caused and manifested by a karma. In Buddhism, suffering is the result of attachment or desire. And these kinds of discomfort can be subtle or intense, small, like worry or uncertainty, or major, like resulting from an illness or an accident or loss. In Science of Mind, we recognize discomfort as a message that we are an effect of our own beliefs and the beliefs of others, which become manifest in our collective experience by the creative action of our thoughts. So we believe that we can learn to reduce discomfort, right, by becoming aware of our thoughts and beliefs and changing them, right? What's that phrase we all like to use? Change your thinking, change your life. Exactly, right? And in our teaching, there's no limit to what we can change, right? Aside from the limitations that are within us in our own consciousness. So to the degree that we can allow those to fall away, because we know that those aren't the truth, we can experience something more. I met a person recently who had been living with an advanced cancer for several years, and their journey had included not only physical hardships resulting from their illness and the treatment, but financial challenges as well. They had to stop working, they had to give up their home, and go on disability. And it would be easy to imagine that such a person might be fearful or angry or despairing. And I suspect that this person had probably felt all of those things at one time and another and more. But what moved me as I spoke to them, as they shared with me, that they believed that they had found their purpose in life through their illness. They chose to focus each day on love, on connection, on sharing with others. Whether with people with a similar illness, or their neighbors, or someone struggling at the grocery store, they chose to believe that the love that they have to offer is transformative, and in so doing, to help transform the love of others, the experience, the lives of others. And I share that story because to me, that is a story of greatness. And it might not be greatness in the conventional way that we define greatness in our society, but to my mind and to my heart, it is a truly great expression of the divine. Just choosing to be present and choosing to be the vehicle of love, right exactly where they are. So, can adversity be an opportunity?
Yes.
Yeah, you think so? Who thinks so? I'm going to raise my hand. Thank you. Glad to see you do too. Just as the nature of a dolphin is to swim and not fly, so your nature must be a nature according to the expression of God that is within you. As Emerson said, imitation is suicide. Right? Be yourself. There is no one, nor has there ever been anyone, nor will there ever be anyone exactly like you. So allow the divine to express itself in you and with you and as you. We all know that adversity can serve as a powerful opportunity for growth. I'm sure you can think of many people whose stories of overcoming adversity are held up, right? We can think of Nelson Mandela overcoming oppression, Oprah Winfrey overcoming childhood abuse, Helen Keller overcoming deafness, right? Jim Carrey overcoming homelessness, surfer Bethany Hamilton overcoming having her arm bitten off by a shark, right? Or Malala Yousafzai overcoming violence in her country. Some adversities are circumstantial and others are physical. But what I wanted to call out as part of this is that, of course, there are many factors that contribute to these stories, not the least of which is the heart and expression of the divine that is in each of those individuals. But there's also something else, right? None of these people accomplished their blossoming, their successes alone. They had family, they had friends, they had community that supported them in realizing their gifts. I want you to go back to that image that we started with earlier about the cherry tree in blossom and thinking about the tree and the trunk and branching down to the roots in the ground. Science has learned that trees talk to each other, that trees support each other, that trees communicate with each other and support each other in pretty direct ways with water, with nutrients, right? Not simply, oh, we're all hanging out here in the forest, but in very practical ways. And I love this learning about
trees and forests because it is to me just the perfect metaphor for community. In community, we can all be the roots that support each other. And that is something amazingly powerful and beautiful to me. So I hope you can be willing to envision yourselves both as the roots, right? But also reaching up through the tree as the blossoms, seeking that greater expression. Right? As we expand in our spiritual experience, we recognize that we live our lives, our human experience in community. And the more that we can do so together, the more each of us individually can become, and the more we can do to transform our world. Eckholm said, "Change is the law of human experience, for only God is permanent. The infinite mind is forever conceiving new ideas, and the infinite law is forever producing new forms. The instant I think a new thought, a new form begins to appear." So I want to invite you today to engage a spiritual practice for this week and just see where it takes you. Consider what aspect of your life you feel called upon to express yourself more fully in. What do you feel called to do? What action could you take towards that this week? What feels like it's getting in the way? And if you're having trouble thinking through this, no worries. You have a fabulous team of practitioners here who can help you figure that out, right? Who can support you with prayer to identify what is yours to do and express, and to connect more deeply with divine wisdom within you to define that. We stretch and extend our reach and grow in spiritual awareness, and by casting our vision farther, our reach extends. If we look past the horizon and bring that vision to the present, we allow our minds and hearts to more fully embrace the infinite spectrum of God's greatness. This last week of the month, as we blossom in this back and forth of life, I believe that we can flourish as we dive into the face of life's impending changes. So I invite you to find and allow comfort in the discomfort, to be true to the truth of who you are, and to join me in an affirmation as we close this time together. So I'm going to speak it, and now I invite you to repeat it with me, okay? So this is the affirmation. Today, I allow the presence of God to bloom forth within me, as me, and through me. All right, so all together. Today, I allow the presence of God to bloom forth within me, as me, and through me. And so it is. Amen.
That was beautiful. Let's give another round of applause for Natasha. And I would like to welcome White Feather forward again for another beautiful song. now is the time that we have the opportunity to bless our center with our financial abundance. Your support keeps us going. It helps us keep the lights on and allows us to continue to make a difference in our community and in the world. So I'd like to invite our ambassadors to come forward. There are many ways to give. You can throw your cash or your checks into the basket. You can do auto tithe. You can pay via Venmo or PayPal. And there's also links on the website where you can just click and give through the website. And thank you for your support. So if you could join me in our affirmation of abundance. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now.
God is my
source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Joy is my source. Joy is my power. Joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need. How about some love? Love is my source. Love is my power. Love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything I need. How about God one more time? God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. You guys are awesome. All right, now I would like to invite Susan Cole up for our announcements, please.
Thank you.
Clap, 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 clap.
That was a little uncomfortable with no clapping. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Well, choir practice is today after service. The CSLTV choir will be performing for us at Easter. Please see Music Director Kate Fay if you would like to join this festive group. On Thursday, April 3rd at 6:30 p.m., we are excited about a new offering. This is a breathwork class with facilitator Shannon Bryson. Come and gain a stronger connection to inner wisdom and guidance using these powerful breathwork techniques. And there is a sign-up sheet on the activities table. Here are kids coming in. On Sunday, April 12th, CSLTV is headed to the Temecula Valley Symphony for a night of beautiful music and dinner together after the event. Please see the sign-up sheet on the activities table. I know that we've already bought tickets, but there may still be some available. And now I'd like to ask Peg to come over and speak about our AED fundraiser.
Thank you. Yes, we're raising money to get an AED, which is an external defibrillator if someone goes into a cardiac arrest. Personally, this is close to my heart, literally, because my dad passed away of heart disease. So I think it's important. These things can save lives. Between AEDs and CPR, you know, I don't know, it's like an 80% survival rate or something. It's crazy. So they're expensive. So we're doing a fundraiser. If you can earmark your donation for AED as opposed to your tithe or your other donations, we're trying to raise $1,500. So we're at about 270 right now. So whatever you can give would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Peg. We are hosting a wonderful workshop with our practitioner intern, Susie Kusner, on Sunday, April 13th from 1 to 3 p.m. This workshop is called What's Your Inner Landscape? Just as a gardener prepares the soil to ensure a vibrant and healthy garden, we too must nurture our minds and spirits to realize our highest aspirations. Join Susie in creating a life that you desire through understanding and working with the creative process, which is seed, soil, and plant. Come join us to find out how we can indeed create the lives we desire. And last but not least, please welcome Pam Migliosi and Craig Hurst to the stage for an announcement about Gourmets for God. Thank you, Pam and Craig.
Thank you, Pat Clark.
I love your apron.
Our committee has aprons.
Okay, well, this is the last week for the interest list to host an event. So, we're going to officially begin our host-hostess signups next Sunday on the 6th of April. And there's going to be event host forms in the breezeway for you to register your event. Now, if you've been considering an event, but you're not sure what it should be, let me give you some ideas from past events. I had fun. I went through one of the old booklets we had. How about a vegan dining experience? A murder mystery dinner party? A tapas party? Bunko with appetizers for dinner? How about a Pictionary night at Ann Woodward's home? She did that. That was fun. A backyard barbecue? A 50s party? A Hawaiian luau, a Halloween costume party. We did that 2 years in a row, and that was really fun. We had Father Jim. We had no, not the other Jim. Father Jim. A backyard tea party, game night. These are just some of the ideas to stimulate those creative juices. So, once our events have been finalized, the bidding process will begin for 4 consecutive Sundays. Remember, as the host or hostess, you decide on the number of guests you wish to have and the date that works best for you. The events will begin in July and run all the way through October. So now what I'd like to do is call up Craig. I'm just going to talk about one that
This is the event we're going to put on there. We've done it once before. It was really fun. Susan and I rent a skybox at Storm Stadium for a Storm game. If you've never been to a Storm game, they are so much fun. Thunder, the mascot, yeah, he's crazy. Anyway, the games are a lot of fun. Storm is a minor league team associated with the San Diego Padres, and the kids are playing their hearts out. Sometimes you see the most amazing big showtime plays, and other times it's like Little League. It just blows me away to watch the games, but they're trying so hard. The games are really fun. They have the best hot dogs anywhere that I've ever had, and the beer is nice and cold. So for our event, we'll be in the skybox. Everything's free. You'll get a hat, and I'll pay for all the food and the beer. So please bid often, bid high, and it'll be really fun. There'll be 10 of us total, so it'll be 8 because Susan automatically gets to go. It's kind of included, and but we'll have a lot of fun. And in the past, we really had a good time. So please bid a lot, bid high, and bid often. Thank you.
Yes, Craig has one more announcement, and then I have one.
Since I'm here, we're also having a Storm game night for the church, not associated with my event in the Skybox. So we'll be, and probably starting next Sunday, we'll be selling 30 tickets to one of the games. Hopefully it'll be a night when they have fireworks, and they're usually on a Friday night. Once again, there'll be about 30 of us in a block. It's really fun. really fun. Did you have a question?
No, I just want to make a statement. On Facebook, they just showed the schedule of different firework nights. So if you get on Storm's website.
Yeah, Fire Fridays is when they have the
Yeah.
fireworks. Yeah, I'm kind of
Not
familiar with doing this.
everybody, but several.
It's going to be, it's really a fun night, and like I say, it's for about 30 of us. We'll buy tickets. I think the tickets will be hopefully available next Sunday. I'm going over to the stadium this week to take care of both my things. There you go.
Thank you. I have another question from the audience, from the community.
One thing to, not a question, but to announce. So I really hope to host a sip and paint.
To you.
Okay. It's a calling for a volunteer. I hope to host a sip and paint. I don't know how to paint. I'm not an artist, and unless everybody wants to be watching a video of Bob Ross, if there's anybody who can paint and wants to volunteer, even if it's terrible, it's fine. We'll be drinking wine. No one cares. If anyone wants to volunteer to lead a painting, I will provide everything else. I just don't have an artist.
We have some artists in this group.
I know we do. A lot of talent.
And my mother, will you tell us a little bit about the drum circle that's coming up this Wednesday?
Now, as many of you will know, this is my time of the month that we really do some drumming. See, when we do our drumming circle, the drum circle's always out of love. The drum connects us all to Earth Mother Gaia. So I'd love you to come on down to CSL Wednesday night at 6:30. We have Sister Bear there. We have the central drum that we're using at the reservation. I have my dear brother. We are the only drum circle that has live musicians playing music. My buddy will be with me there from our Twisted Trees project. We've already got one of our CDs done, working on CD number 2. And we're going to have ourselves a great time. And when it's all done, it all gets ended up with an actual sound bath. So bring the kids, bring your neighbor, and I'll see you at CSLMV on Wednesday from 6:30 to 8.
Is this every Wednesday?
This Wednesday, once a month. First Wednesday of the month. So I'll see you there.
Yes, we will. That's the mic.
That was excellent. And that was Center for Spiritual Living, Menifee Valley, just in case you didn't catch that. All right, now I would like to invite all of our practitioner and practitioner interns to either join me up here or at least stand at your seat. This is the healing arm of our church. If you need prayer support, these are the people to see. I'm an intern, so I'm still in training, but come July, hopefully, for Lan and Gary, we'll be official too. But if you do need prayer support, there will be practitioners in the breezeway to provide support today, and there are prayer boxes in the back if you'd like to put a prayer request in the box. The practitioners will pray on those all week. So I would like to pass this on to Reverend Natasha for our closing prayer.
Let us simply take a moment to turn within and recognize the presence of God, of Source, of Spirit, of that infinite, divine, eternal intelligence, always right where we are. I recognize that presence right here and right now. I know it is all the love, the peace, the power, the abundance, the joy, all the good that is. And I speak this word knowing that I am an expression of that one, and this is the truth of all of the beloveds gathered here, indeed of all people everywhere. And so I speak this word, I speak my word this morning to simply affirm our collective well-being, and good. I speak this word to claim all good is present and expressing itself through each and every life, that every situation and condition that is not in alignment with that divine good has no power and now falls away, is dissolved, is no more, and that all there is that experience of alignment with that perfect, whole, and complete goodness of the divine. I am so grateful to speak this word this morning, grateful to raise up the truth that as I speak these words, the law brings them into fruition. There is nothing left to do but to say yes and thank you, and so it is.
Please join us after service in the social hall for refreshments and fellowship. That's it, folks.